Hello and welcome to this edition of the Bremerton Beat Blast. I'm your host, Kitsap Sun reporter Josh Farley, standing on 4th Street right outside of Fingers Duke's Design Studio in downtown Bremerton. And as usual, I've got 5 things that you just got to know about happening in your town this week. Story number 1 will happen here on Friday night. From 5 to 8 p.m., you have a chance to come and hear a living legend of country music. Patrick Haggerty is from Bremerton, and he released the first gay country album in country music history way back in the early 1970s.
Y'all come out, my dears, to lavender country. Don't you bother about your sissy ways.
I've been here for about 20 years. I went chasing sailors one night and I caught one. And the consequence was a life in Bremerton. We live in Manette, and what got us here was what got most people to Bremerton, the U.S. Navy. He's retired Navy.
Make yourself at home.
What was intimidating and daunting at the time wasn't doing lavender country. What was intimidating and daunting at the time was coming out. Came out knowing that you were going to pay consequences, and you were willing to pay those consequences. And one of the things that the Seattle lesbian gay community did was sponsor the production of lavender country. Right? So it wasn't something that I did, it was something that Seattle's lesbian gay community sponsored and did.
Oh, y'all come out, my dears, to lavender country.
Now, if you're also coming to Fingers Duke on Friday night, you'll notice the works of the very creative artist Pat Moriarty. And in all of downtown Bremerton, it is First Friday, so you will not want to miss that. There's lots of fun events going on. Story number 2 comes to us from Olympic College. That's where the Barner Learning Landscape is located. You might have never heard of this learning landscape before, but it's a beautiful piece of property that's right on the waterfront, and it includes a home that was actually designed by the first graduate female architect of the University of Washington, Elizabeth Ayers. I got to tour the property with Dr. Susan Digby, who has been using it as a resource for teaching students who come through Olympic College's doors.
Well, I'd heard rumors about it existing, and so about, maybe 4 years ago after graduation, I hopped over the fence and I snuck around here, and I just found this area that struck me as though it was the secret garden, and just full of potential, full of incredible native plants, as well as this astonishing eclectic mix of introduced species that I'd only seen in botanical gardens. This property fits in with our formal classes, so I can talk about soil structure in class, but it makes much more sense if I come out and we actually dig a soil pit and look at the levels. And I can talk about how various plants interact with the environment, but when we see that, it just makes so much more sense.
Story number 3, we've got the 4th of July coming up right around the corner on Monday. Now remember, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. is when you can shoot off fireworks, although they're being sold around the city and around the county at this point in time. Keep in mind that there are a lot of people who might not like fireworks, and especially there's a lot of pets who do not like fireworks. So do try to shoot them off in those times when it is legal. If you have a fireworks complaint this year, the Kitsap County 911 Center is asking that you not call 911. Instead, you call the number 360-307-5811. They were so flooded and inundated with calls last year, they're worried that people with life-threatening emergencies are not able to get a hold of a dispatcher when they need one. So remember that number, 307-5811. Story number 4 on the Beat Blast this week is at the Bremerton watershed. That's where a litter of possums were released. There was a story back in the Kitsap Sun back in April that you might have seen. Happened on Naval Avenue. The mom and the litter was hit by a car. The mom unfortunately passed away, but the litter was picked up and taken to the West Sound Wildlife Shelter, where all the litter recovered. Now, they were just released back into the wild, and they are expected to continue to make a full recovery there. And finally, story number 5 this week is a quick development update off of Lower Wheaten Way. Lower Wheaten Way, of course, was redesigned and retooled back a couple of years ago in a big multi-million-dollar project. There were 3 shacks that you might remember that are right at the base of Lower Wheaten and Schley Boulevard. These shacks have been torn down. The estate that owns the property is not sure what's going to happen, but they've gone ahead and torn those down. And there have been plans with the city that entail the possibility of townhomes, some kind of multifamily or even single-family development. Nothing in the works yet, but having some of those shacks torn down may give us some insight into what's going to happen in the future. That's going to do it for this edition of the Bremerton Beat Blast. I apologize for not getting the blast out until Thursday this week. It's normally out on Tuesdays, as you know, but I fell a little bit ill earlier in the week. It's good to be back, and I hope to see you again next Tuesday.